Hi, it's Kirby Summers, and I welcome you to my true crime podcast. Today is March 17th. It is St. Patrick's Day, and I am going to be reading an excerpt from my ongoing series, Deconstructing Wexner. I, part 8 will be dropping anytime soon. Today's excerpt is from part 4. So far, the work has, well, before I continue, do me a favor, like the podcast and subscribe if you haven't, because really this is the place where I keep everyone up to date with my work. And as I'm going to be doing today, is provide excerpts of my research. I have known about Leslie Wexner for many decades because of his business affiliations and personal friendship with my abuser's father, whose name is Meshulam Rickless, who is involved in the lives of many of the people that we have seen connected to multiple scandals that coincide with the so-called octopus that Danny Casolaro was investigating. In Ohio, there was a man that was quite influential to Leslie Wexner's parents, and who would somehow influence him. And it is connected to mystical stuff, to secret societies, to sort of modern day trafficking rings, some of which you have heard about, the Finders, the McMartin preschool case. And there's one that hasn't really been written about very much. If it has been scrubbed, but it is a scandal that connects to the JCC. Now, this person, who I think I'm going to perhaps not mention his name because uh, he is at the center of several of my articles that are on Substack. However, in many ways, when I was researching his life, he reminded me of the Jewish counterpart of the Catholic Father Flanagan, who started Boys Town. So in this man's case, uh, he created children homes. He had the ability to stand in front of the judge for, quote, juvenile delinquent crimes and take the child. In most cases, it was a boy, but there were girls involved as well, under his care, which is exactly the sort of thing that Father Flanagan was allowed to do when he began Boys Town. The correlation is quite striking, and they overlap historically. So I'm just going to start with, again, this is an excerpt. So when blank died in December of 1929, and then I'm going to use blank for which newspaper included his obituary, that he established the blank community house to help Jewish immigrants adapt to life in America. He later created Camp Blank, a summer camp for Jewish children, and the infant orphans home. His face was familiar in juvenile court, where he undertook to redeem dozens of young first offenders, offering them protection and personal friendship. Many delinquents were saved from months in correctional institutions, probated instead to his care. So that's the end of the uh, excerpt that I used from his obituary. And then his center is the precursor to the Jewish Community Center, meaning that he is the founder of the JCC. So today, the JCC has grown to over 1,000 centers within the United States, Canada, the former Soviet Union, Europe, Latin America, and Israel. So I basically included in the article clearly a logo for the JCC, which we will circle back to. I quoted a sentence from Stanley Kubrick's 1999 film Eyes Wide Shut. And that is, to die in another's place is the sublime sacrifice. Although that line is actually the origin of that, we're going to probably get to in this excerpt, I believe. And then I just basically go into a little bit of Kubrick's film. So let me begin. We witnessed this via Stanley Kubrick's 1999 film Eyes Wide Shut, based on the 1926 novella Tram Novelle, when Mandy offers herself up to be sacrificed in order to save Bill. Also seen in Kubrick's film is the use of an anagram. The name Larry Salona is really Royal Lancer, which in turn represents Prince Andrew. In Ira Levin's 1997 book, Son of Rosemary, the word roast mules is an anagram for somersault, suggestive as Rosemary somersaulting through hell for an eternity. These references are satanic in nature, and intentionally so, but so too are the secret societies above mentioned. So before I began this part of a very long chapter 4 in my ongoing series, Deconstructing Wexner, I spoke about the many secret societies that the people in Wexner's early life belonged to, and which even to present day, let's say somebody like Bill Gates is also a member of one of these secret societies. Anagrams are words or phrases that form a different word or phrase by rearranging the letters. The origin dates back to the ancient Greeks and were typically used to hide mystical meanings. These are also deeply rooted in Jewish mysticism. And one man in particular took Jewish mysticism to heart. This man's name is Eliphas Levi. Eliphas Levi was born Alphonse Louis Constant in 1810 in Paris, France. His pen name, Eliphas Levi, was an anagram of his given names, Alphonse Louis, into Hebrew. He wrote over 20 books on magic, the Kabbalah, alchemical studies, and the occult. Levi was a sorcerer who performed black magic, and he was known as a Satanist. It was he who wrote, "To die in another's place is the sublime sacrifice." The History of Magic by Levi contains over 15 references to Freemasonry, where he claims that the Kabbalah hides the origins of the Masons. He also drew the Sabbatean goat, which became synonymous with Baphomet in 1856. I think all of you have seen that goat. I might even use it as the image for this talk. Aleister Crowley believed in Baphomet was Pan, a lecherous god from the ancient Greek religion and mythology. He proclaimed himself to be the reincarnation of Levi. Anton LaVey also followed in the footsteps of Levi. Pan is depicted as a winged hermaphrodite with the head and legs of a goat and the torso of a man. The mansion at 90 71st Street in New York that Leslie Wexner would one day provide to Jeffrey Epstein has a pan over the entrance. In fact, Epstein had many statues of Pan throughout his homes. As we progress further into the series, we'll see that even Epstein's Manhattan mansion has a connection to Wexner's mother, Bella, and the family's patron, whose name I'm going to leave blank for the purpose of this podcast. And then I go into the connection between the McMartin preschool case, the Finders case, and a similar case that involves the JCC. What connects these cases that seems to have been missed by anyone doing studies on this is a CIA psychiatrist who was, he was performing MK Ultra studies, but he was also brought into each of these cases. And again, I'm not going to mention his name. I don't believe anyone has really found the thread that connects this particular CIA psychiatrist or psychologist to the Finders, to the McMartin preschool case, and to the abuse scandal at the JCC, which when I was doing the research for part 4 was completely scrubbed. You can still find information on the Finders, which, as you all know, was a CIA-connected cult founded by former U.S. Air Force Master Sergeant Marion Petty in the early 1970s. And then, you guys pretty much would have information on that. And you're also probably familiar with the McMartin preschool investigation, which sort of began in 1983 when the mother of a little boy reported that her son had been inappropriately handled by one of the teachers, and the teacher in this case was the son of McMartin, whose name was Ray Buckey. Actually, he was the grandson of Virginia McMartin, who founded the preschool in Manhattan Beach, California. Ultimately, there were like 300 counts of child molestation. However, after a lengthy prosecution and a very short-term incarceration, even this was kind of resolved and the people let go. But again, there is a CIA-connected doctor who was called upon to lend his help. And in the McMartin case, what he did was to tear apart the credibility of the psychologist who was brought in to explain how child abuse works and the use of dolls to help the child discuss what happened during something that they would be unfamiliar with. These are little children, so they wouldn't know. And this particular psychologist provided tools to help the children explain what had happened at the preschool. So this particular person later testified before Congress, stating she believed there was an organized nationwide conspiracy of individuals and orthodox, and these are her words, orthodox satanic groups that were, I'm going to use just the letter S, abusing children. All right, so that's an excerpt from part 4 of Deconstructing Wexner. As I said, I'm moving into part 8. I'm really showing all of the nooks and crannies and all of the connections that started from way before Wexner's birth to form my argument that this indeed was connected to Wexner, who is, from my work and my own information based on my connection to the people I've discussed in my life, is I'm going to call it a cutout for one or more intelligence agencies. Now, clearly, that's not where mainstream goes with the story regarding Jeffrey Epstein. They like to portray the Epstein story as a one-off, when my argument is that it is connected to not just the Franklin child abuse case, but also to the Finders and the McMartin case and all of these other minor children trafficking and molestation rings, which every now and then their connection to not just high-level politicians and even presidents of the United States, also every now and then show their connection to intelligence agencies. So I invite you to join me on Substack, to follow this and all of the other work that I upload, which connects intelligence to the crimes that happen. So for example, one of my last articles that I uploaded was, let me just see if I can pull it up to give you, is the connection of Bill Gates and Ted Bundy. One would not normally see a connection between Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, and serial killer Ted Bundy, but I present evidence showing there is a connection, and the things that what Bundy was allowed to do. So for example, he was given a very high level position within an organization that was basically a criminal task force. And during his time in this criminal task force, again, in a very high position, while he is out there murdering innocent women, and his last victim, by the way, was just 12 years old, he wrote a study on rape prevention. So anyway, guys, give this a like, subscribe, and join me on either my Substack or my Patreon. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.